What's up, you guys? I'm about to play probably the craziest game in LA, at least in these stakes. It is a 5-5-10 bounty game at the Gardens. The craziest action you've ever seen, and the reason is it's a 5-5-10 game, but if you win any consecutive hand, every person at the table has to give you $25. So we're going in with a short stack strategy, and we will put in a few bullets and see how it works. So hit that intro. Cheers.
With the guy Brantzen, who has the Brantzen poker logs.
No! Let's go! Let's go!
Tell him he's got a lot of class, and it's all low.
Get ready for the most bananas 5-5-10 game you've ever seen. Whenever somebody wins a hand, they get this little thing called the bounty button. And if they win again, everyone owes them $25. So needless to say, this little orange button makes everyone go crazy. I'm testing a short buy strategy, so I buy in for $300. Why don't we start off with aces in the straddle, the cutoff and small blind limp, the big blind bounty limps. Time to bump it up. I make it $85. Well, the cutoff calls, the small blind raises to $400. I go all in for $265, and the cutoff goes all in for $650. Small blind calls, we're off to a run out three ways, which comes Jack, Jack 6, Deuce, 9. The cutoff shows pocket sixes and wins the whole thing. And like I said, this ain't no ordinary game, folks. Okay, next bullet, $300. I pick up King Deuce off in the small blind. The cutoff bounty limps. I'm more incentivized to limp to defend against the bounty, so that's what I do, and the straddle checks. Three ways to a flop of King, Jack, 10, Rainbow. In a limp pot, I don't think anyone's going to smash this board, so I'm feeling pretty good with top pair. I bet $15 and only the cutoff bounty calls. Of course he's going to call, he wants to win the bounty, so when the turn is a brick 4, I'm going to charge him again. I bet $50. He calls, and the river is a 3. I'm going to go for thin value, hoping for a hero call from a Jack or a 10. I bet $75, but he folds, and I take it down. So now I have the bounty button. I pick up King Jack of clubs on the button. Great hand. It folds to me, and I open big $75. If everyone folds, I get a nice $175 for free. And if someone wants to defend, they're gonna have to pay for it. The big blind decides to be the defender of the table and says,
if I hit bottom pair, I'm in.
The flop comes King 3, 5, 2 diamonds. Great flop for me. I have top pair, and my opponent said he's willing to get it in with bottom pair or better. So I bet $200. My opponent goes all in, and I happily put in my last $100. That is until he flips over King 5 of hearts for 2 pair. The turn and river are no help, so okay. Bullet 3, $300. I pick up pocket jacks on the big blind. The under the gun bounty limps, the cutoff limps. If the under the gun wants to win his bounty, it's gonna cost him. I make it $100. Sure enough, he does want it. He makes the call, and we're heads up to a 9-4-6 rainbow flop. I have less than a pot-sized bet. I was gonna rip it no matter what the flop, and this one's a good one holding an overpair. I go all in for $180. My opponent flips over an 8 and says, if only it was one closer. No pair. But then he says, and makes the call. Okay, against no pair, I'm feeling good. Turn 4, river 8, and I take it down. A little bit of time passes before my next playable hand. I get pocket 9s on the button. There's a $20 straddle, and I open to $85. My opening sizes are bigger because of the bounty dynamic, but anyways, the $10 straddle bounty makes the call, of course, but then the $20 straddle raises to $450. Now this player was insanely aggressive. Against him, I think 9s are plenty good. I go all in for $400. The bounty player folds and the board runs out 8, deuce, 6, queen, deuce. My opponent shows pocket 5s. I show my cards and I'm good. Unfortunately, I don't get a playable bounty hand, but later on I pick up ace 10 of clubs in the small blind. The $20 straddle is on, and a very loose player opens to $100 from the low jack. The hijack bounty makes the call. Of course he's gonna call, he's got the bounty. I have $800 in my stack. You can call me Supplantation, cause it's all you can eat, baby. I rip my entire stack in. The initial raiser calls. I flip over my cards, and he shows Jack 10 of spades. The board runs out ace 6 4 4 3, and my opponent says,
Ace is no good, bro.
Ace is definitely good, brah, and unlike Supplantation, I'm still in business. After that, I go completely card dead for almost 2 hours, and in this game, going card dead is awful. Between paying bounties and paying for bomb pots, my stack tanked hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Finally, I pick up a hand, pocket sevens in the big blind. The hijack bounty, who's been steamrolling the table, opens to $120. He's been opening with big sizings to take down the bounty uncontested. The cutoff and button are fed up with it, and they both make the call, setting up their little wall of defense. Well, if either of them had a pair bigger than mine, they probably would have 3-bet, so now their wall of defense is looking a little bit like dead money to me. I go all in for $750. The hijack bounty makes the call. The other two players fold, heads up to a run out of Jack 5-5, 10 Queen. I show my cards, and they are no good. My opponent flips over King Queen for a rivered pair, and just like that, I'm back at square one. Okay, fourth time's a charm, $300 again. I'm going into this $25 bomb pot with 185 behind. I'm in early position with Queen 10, and what do you know? The flop comes Queen 10-3 rainbow, finally smashing a board. Feels pretty freaking amazing, but when the action's on me, I decide to check. I know the player on the button, and if no one else bets, he'll bet with almost any two cards in that position, and I want to juice the most money out of this hand possible. One by one, everyone checks. Don't let me down, button. Don't let me down. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. The button bets $75, then the under the gun raises to $250. Okay, let's build a stack. I hope I'm good. I go all in for $185, and everyone else folds. Heads up to a run out of 3-6. My opponent shows pocket jacks, and I take down the pot. So now I have the bounty in the small blind. I just have to win this hand, and everyone gives me $25. I pick up 10-4 off, the low jack limps, the cutoff raises to $30. It's a very reasonable size, considering I'll get $125 from my opponents if I win. So I call, and the low jack calls as well. 3 ways to a flop of 5-6 with 2 diamonds. Not bad. I have a gut shot. I check, and action checks through. The turn is another deuce, and it might seem like a decent spot to bluff. However, people are often suspicious of the bounty player bluffing, so I check again, and the action checks through. The river comes the 10 of diamonds. Now I have top pair, and I check again. The most important part is winning this pot. If I bet and get raised, I'll be miserable, and now I have a solid bluff catcher. The low jack bets $50. The cutoff then raises to $150. I'm trying to think what makes sense for the cutoff to have. I feel like a diamond draw would have bet on the flop or turn. These players are both very capable of bluffing. My gut's telling me to go with it, so I make the call, and thankfully the low jack folds. The cutoff shows 3-9 offsuit for a 9-high bluff. Let's go! I take down the pot along with an extra $125 in bounty money. Alright, I still have the bounty. Let's see if I can go 3 in a row. I get ace jack off on the button. Oh baby, I have a nice hand and the bounty. The hijack opens to $30. Definitely seems like a good spot to 3-bet, and I make it big $150. Again, I don't mind folds because I would get the bounty money, but that's not what happens. The big blind calls and the hijack calls. 3 ways to a flop of ace queen 6 with 2 clubs. These 2 players would likely 4-bet ace queen or better, so unless they have pocket sixes, I definitely think I have the best hand. The big blind checks, but the hijack decides to lead out for a super small size of $50. It's just not a real size for this pot. I raised to $300, charging any draws or weaker aces, but both my opponents fold, and I take down another one, plus the extra $125 in bounty money. Unfortunately, I can't win 4 in a row, but a little later I pick up pocket 7s on the button. The hijack bounty opens to $110, the cutoff calls, and the action's on me. $110 is a gigantic open for a 5-5-10 game, but it's really not that uncommon here in the bounty. I'm in position, and I could very well still have the best hand here. I make the call. 3 ways to a flop of 10-10-3 rainbow. Not a bad flop for pocket 7s, and even better when the initial raiser checks. The cutoff checks as well. I think there's a high chance I have the best hand now, but I want to deny all the Broadway hands from hitting a higher pair on future streets. I bet $225. Gets the job done, as both my opponents fold. Next up is a bomb pot. I'm under the gun +3 with ace queen. The table's full now, and the flop comes ace jack 4 with 2 diamonds. The guy to my right, the under the gun +2 player, goes all in for $145. I'm sitting here with top pair and a good kicker. I don't want to invite a bunch of other people to come in and draw, and I definitely don't want to give an opportunity for someone to squeeze, so I raise to $300. To me, this is a much stronger move, so when the under the gun calls, my alarm bells are definitely ringing. I'm thinking strong ace, maybe 2 pair, maybe a combo draw. I think a set would re-raise. The turn is a 10, improving hands like ace 10 or king queen of diamonds. So when the under the gun checks, I'm happy to check it back. The river is the king of diamonds, completing the flush, but also improving my hand to a straight. The under the gun checks again. I doubt he'd check again with the flush, but I don't think he's calling a big bet either now that the flush draw completed and there's a one-liner to the straight. I go for thin value. I bet $100. He unhappily tosses in the call. I show my cards and my opponents do not look too happy. Always a good sign for me. The under the gun shows jack 4 for a flopped 2 pair, and the under the gun +2 shows ace jack for flopped 2 pair. I just got super lucky with the run out, and now my stack is really growing. A little later is another bomb pot. I'm on the button with ace jack off, and the flop comes jack deuce deuce rainbow. Action checks to me. I bet $75, but the under the gun goes all in for $300. Then the under the gun +1 calls. One or both of these guys have to have a 2 here. I fold, and the under the gun +1 ends up winning with deuce 6 for a boat, so definitely glad I folded. Next up, I pick up ace queen of diamonds in the cutoff. The hijack opens to $80. I gotta put in that 3-bet with my strong hands. I raised $250. The hijack doesn't seem too happy about it, but makes the call. We're heads up to a flop of jack 5-9 with 2 clubs. Not a great flop for my hand, but my opponent only has a little over $500 left, which is about the size of the pot. I was planning on sending it on most any board. I go all in, and he folds immediately. Bounty time, I pick up 610 off in the hijack. Premiums, the low jack opens to $60. I'm on the bounty, so of course I call. The straddle calls too. We're 3 ways to a flop of 6 queen king all spades. I have bottom pair and a 10 high flush draw, but I'm not looking to blow this pot out of proportion, so when the straddle and low jack check, I check back, and the turn is an offsuit jack. The straddle and low jack check again. Now I picked up a straight draw as well. Let's see a river. I check back. The river is the ace of spades. Great card, as I now have the second nut flush draw. The straddle checks, but the low jack bets $100. I don't think raising accomplishes much. If he has worse, he'll most likely fold. And if he has the jack of spades, I'm gonna own myself, so it's a pretty easy call. The straddle folds, and the low jack shows ace jack, turning his two pair into a bluff or going for thin value. I'm not really sure what he was trying to do there, but I'll take it, and I will take the $150 extra of bounty money. Thank you very much. Towards the end of the night, I flop two pair in a bomb pot and take it down with a single bet of $100. Unfortunately, I can't win the hand after that with king deuce, but I'm definitely happy overall with my comeback. It's getting late, time to rack up and cash out.
I'm telling you right now, guys, if you want to see crazy action, probably the craziest action in LA, definitely check out the 5-5-10 bounty game at the Gardens. It is something else. It is just a whole new beast that just doesn't seem solved. It is a crazy game, and I'm still figuring out the best way to play it. This was my 4th time trying it tonight. Results have been pretty good. Tonight I started off winning like $200 on the 5-5 table, and then moved over to the 5-5-10 bounty game. Did my short buy strategy, ended up losing the first 2 buy-ins to some bad beats, and then the third ran it up crazy, then just like went card dead for the longest time while aggressive people were just taking down bounties left and right. I must have paid like $600 in bounties, ended up losing a flip. So then on the 4th buy-in, that got down to 185. So guys, today I was in for a total of 4 buy-ins of $300, and that last one I got down to 185 and ran it all the way up to 2503. So I profited the day of 1303. Pretty insane what you can do with a short stack on that bounty game. Unlike anything I've ever seen. So yeah, that was my day plus the 200 profit. So I made 1.5K today. Pretty happy about that. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.